Right now, as you hear these words, every atom in your body is moving. Your coffee is cooling down, your phone battery is draining, and somewhere in the universe, a star is dying. All of these seemingly unrelated events are connected by a single, invisible force that's been shaping reality since the moment time began. A force so fundamental that without it, you wouldn't exist. Nothing would exist. Scientists call it entropy, and it's the reason why your room gets messy, why you age, why the universe itself is racing toward an inevitable end. But here's what will blow your mind. This same destructive force that guarantees death and decay is also the creative engine behind every beautiful sunset, every beating heart, and every conscious thought you've ever had. Tonight, we're going to explore the most misunderstood concept in all of science. We'll discover why entropy isn't just some abstract physics term, but the invisible architect of reality itself. From the quantum realm where particles dance in perfect chaos, to black holes that devour entire galaxies, we'll witness how this cosmic force writes the rules that govern everything from your morning routine to the fate of the universe. Before we dive into this mind-bending journey, hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to show you will fundamentally change how you see the world around you. We're going to uncover secrets that took humanity centuries to understand, and by the end, you'll realize that you've been living inside entropy's grand design your entire life, without even knowing it. Prepare yourselves. We begin. Let me tell you about a discovery that shattered everything scientists thought they knew about reality. In 1850, a German physicist named Rudolf Clausius was studying steam engines when he stumbled upon something that would revolutionize our understanding of existence itself. He was trying to figure out why these machines could never be perfectly efficient, why no matter how brilliant the engineering, some energy always seemed to disappear into thin air. What Clausius discovered was that energy wasn't actually disappearing, it was transforming into something else, something more chaotic, something more disordered. He gave this mysterious quantity a name that would echo through the halls of science for centuries: entropy. At first, entropy seemed like just another physics equation, a boring mathematical concept buried in textbooks. But as scientists dug deeper, they realized they had uncovered something far more profound. They had found the universe's hidden operating system, the fundamental code that determines how reality itself behaves. Here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. Entropy isn't just about steam engines or thermodynamics. It's about information. It's about probability. It's about the very fabric of space and time. Every single process in the universe, from the formation of galaxies to the thoughts in your brain, follows entropy's inexorable laws. Think about this for a moment. When you shuffle a deck of cards, there are over 80 billion ways to arrange those 52 cards. That's more possible arrangements than there are atoms on Earth. Yet somehow, when you shuffle, the cards never magically organize themselves into perfect order. They always move toward chaos, toward higher entropy. This isn't coincidence. This is the universe following its most fundamental rule. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy always increases, always. In every closed system, disorder grows, order breaks down, chaos wins. But wait, if entropy always increases, if chaos always wins, then how do we exist at all? How did the random chaos of the early universe give rise to stars, planets, and ultimately conscious beings capable of contemplating their own existence? This is where entropy reveals its most beautiful paradox. While the universe as a whole becomes more disordered, pockets of incredible complexity can emerge. Life itself is entropy's greatest magic trick. We are islands of stunning organization floating in an ocean of ever-growing chaos. Your body contains roughly 37 trillion cells, each one a marvel of biological engineering that makes our most advanced computers look primitive. These cells work together with breathtaking precision to keep you alive, to let you think, to let you experience the wonder of existence. Yet every moment of your life, you're fighting against entropy's relentless push toward disorder. This is why you need to eat, why you need to sleep, why you age. Your body is constantly working to maintain its complex organization against the universe's tendency toward chaos. You're literally burning energy to keep entropy at bay. And eventually, entropy wins. It always wins. But here's what's truly remarkable. While entropy guarantees that all complex structures will eventually crumble, it's also the driving force that creates complexity in the first place. Without entropy, there would be no temperature differences, no energy gradients, no driving forces for any process whatsoever. Imagine a universe in perfect equilibrium, every point at exactly the same temperature, every particle moving at exactly the same speed. No differences, no gradients, no potential for change. This would be a universe of maximum entropy, and it would be completely lifeless. Nothing could happen because there would be no energy available to make anything happen. Our universe is nothing like this. We live in a cosmos filled with spectacular entropy gradients. Hot stars radiating energy into cold space, dense matter surrounded by empty vacuum. These differences, these departures from perfect equilibrium, are what make everything possible. The sun burns at 5,800 degrees Celsius, while space around us hovers at negative 270 degrees. This enormous temperature difference drives the entire ecosystem of our planet. Solar energy flows from the hot sun to the cold earth, and life has learned to harness this entropy flow to build and maintain the complex structures we call organisms. Every bite of food you eat contains energy that originally came from entropy gradients. Plants capture sunlight and use it to build complex molecules from simple ones. Animals eat plants or other animals, breaking down those complex molecules to extract energy. This energy powers our muscles, our brains, our very existence. We are entropy surfers, riding the wave of energy flowing from order to disorder. We exist because we've learned to extract useful work from the universe's inexorable slide toward chaos. But entropy's influence extends far beyond biology. It shapes the very structure of space and time. Einstein's theory of relativity revealed that gravity itself is intimately connected to entropy. Black holes, the most extreme gravitational objects in the universe, turn out to have enormous entropy stored on their surfaces. When matter falls into a black hole, it seems to disappear from our universe entirely. For decades, physicists wondered what happened to the information that matter contained. Does it vanish forever? This would violate fundamental principles of quantum mechanics, which says information can never be truly destroyed. The answer lies in understanding that black holes are actually entropy monsters. They contain more entropy than anything else of equivalent size in the universe. All the information that falls into a black hole gets encoded on its surface, stretched and scrambled beyond recognition, but never truly lost. This discovery led to one of the most profound realizations in modern physics. The information content of any region of space is determined not by its volume, but by its surface area. This principle, called the holographic principle, suggests that our three-dimensional reality might actually be a projection of information encoded on a two-dimensional boundary. Think about that. Everything you see, everything you experience, might be the three-dimensional shadow of information living on a distant surface. We could be living inside a cosmic hologram, and entropy is the force that determines how information flows through this holographic reality. The implications are staggering. If the holographic principle is correct, then entropy isn't just a property of matter and energy. It's a fundamental feature of information itself. The universe might be best understood not as a collection of particles and forces, but as an information processing system where entropy measures the flow of data from order to disorder. This connects to perhaps the most mysterious aspect of entropy: its relationship with time. Why does time seem to flow in only one direction? Why do we remember the past but not the future? Why do broken eggs never spontaneously reassemble? The answer lies in entropy's arrow. In the early universe, entropy was much lower than it is today. As time progresses, entropy increases. This gives time its direction. The past is the direction of lower entropy. The future is the direction of higher entropy. Time's arrow and entropy's arrow are the same arrow. Without entropy, time would have no meaning. Events wouldn't have a preferred sequence. Cause and effect would break down. The very concept of change would be impossible. But here's where entropy becomes truly mind-bending. While it creates the arrow of time on cosmic scales, quantum mechanics reveals that time can behave very strangely on the smallest scales. Individual quantum processes can run backward in time. Particles can seem to know about future events before they happen. This creates a fascinating tension between the quantum world, where time is fuzzy and reversible, and the macroscopic world, where entropy ensures that time flows in only one direction. Understanding how these two descriptions of reality fit together is one of the greatest challenges in modern physics. Some scientists think the answer lies in understanding how entropy emerges from quantum mechanics. Individual quantum systems can exist in superpositions, simultaneously in multiple states at once. But as systems become larger and more complex, they lose this quantum weirdness and begin to behave classically. This transition from quantum to classical behavior might be what creates entropy's arrow. The quantum world is filled with possibilities, but as those possibilities interact with larger systems, they collapse into definite outcomes. This collapse process might be what drives the increase in entropy and creates the flow of time we experience. The implications extend into consciousness itself. Your brain is a quantum system embedded in a classical world. The thoughts you're having right now emerge from quantum processes in your neurons. But these quantum processes are constantly collapsing into classical states as they interact with the larger structures of your brain. Could consciousness itself be an entropy phenomenon? Some scientists think so. They propose that awareness arises from the brain's ability to process information and create internal models of reality. This information processing requires energy flow, and energy flow always increases entropy. In this view, your conscious experience is literally the feeling of entropy flowing through the information processing networks in your brain. Every thought, every memory, every moment of awareness is entropy in action. This brings us to one of entropy's most profound mysteries. How does a universe that's sliding toward maximum disorder manage to create structures complex enough to contemplate their own existence? How does chaos give birth to consciousness? The answer seems to lie in understanding that entropy isn't just about destruction, it's about exploration. When systems have many possible states, entropy drives them to explore all those possibilities. Most of these explorations lead nowhere interesting, but occasionally, very occasionally, they stumble upon configurations of incredible beauty and complexity. Life represents entropy's most spectacular discovery. Through billions of years of random exploration, entropy has found ways to create self-organizing, self-replicating, self-aware structures that can harness energy flows to build even more complex systems. We are entropy's greatest achievement, temporary islands of extraordinary order that emerged from chaos and will eventually return to chaos. But in our brief existence, we've learned to appreciate beauty, to love, to create art and music and science. We've figured out how to decode the very laws that govern our universe. In a sense, we are the universe becoming aware of itself. We are entropy's way of understanding entropy. Through us, the cosmos has developed eyes to see its own magnificent complexity. But our story as entropy's ambassadors of consciousness has only just begun. The universe is still young. Entropy still has trillions of years to explore new possibilities, and we're just starting to understand our role in this cosmic adventure. What if I told you that entropy isn't just destroying the universe, but actively designing it? That every snowflake that forms, every galaxy that spirals, every decision you make is being sculpted by this invisible force in ways that would make the greatest artists weep with envy? Here's something that will completely reshape how you think about reality. While scientists spent decades viewing entropy as the universe's grim reaper, recent discoveries reveal it's actually the ultimate creative genius. And the masterpieces it creates are beyond anything human imagination could conceive. Let me show you what I mean. Right now, water molecules in the clouds above your head are organizing themselves into crystalline structures of breathtaking complexity. Each snowflake that falls contains geometric patterns so intricate that no two are ever identical. Six-sided symmetries branching into fractal arms that would take supercomputers millions of calculations to design. But here's the kicker: these aren't planned. No conscious intelligence is directing their formation. Instead, entropy is exploring trillions of possible configurations every second, rejecting the unstable ones and preserving only those rare arrangements that can persist in the chaotic dance of thermal motion. This is entropy's secret weapon: randomness with rules, chaos with constraints. While disorder increases overall, local pockets of stunning organization emerge as natural consequences of entropy's relentless exploration. The same principle operates in your brain at this very moment. Your neurons aren't randomly firing. They're following pathways carved by entropy's exploration of possibility space. Every thought you think, every memory you form, every moment of creativity represents entropy, discovering new ways to organize information in the neural networks of your mind. But wait, it gets even more incredible. Scientists have discovered that entropy doesn't just create beautiful patterns, it creates information itself, and this revelation is about to blow apart everything we thought we knew about reality. In the 1940s, a brilliant mathematician named Claude Shannon was working on telephone communications when he made a discovery that would revolutionize science forever. He realized that information and entropy are intimately connected. In fact, they're mathematically equivalent. Every bit of information in the universe, from the genetic code in your DNA to the data on your smartphone, can be measured in terms of entropy. Information is organized entropy, and entropy is information waiting to be discovered. This means your consciousness isn't separate from the physical laws that govern matter and energy. Your thoughts are literally made of the same fundamental stuff as stars and galaxies. When you learn something new, you're reducing entropy in your brain by organizing information into more useful patterns. But here's where it becomes absolutely mind-blowing. If information and entropy are equivalent, then every atom in your body contains vast amounts of hidden information. The position of every electron, the spin of every particle, the quantum state of every molecule represents data encoded in the fabric of reality itself. You are walking, breathing, thinking information. Your entire existence is an expression of entropy's endless creativity in organizing itself into increasingly complex patterns. Recent experiments in quantum physics have revealed something even more astonishing. Particles separated by vast distances can instantaneously share information in ways that seem to violate the speed of light. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, and it troubled him until his death. But we now understand that quantum entanglement isn't violating physical laws. It's revealing something profound about the nature of information in our universe. Space and time might not be fundamental. Instead, they might emerge from deeper patterns of information sharing between quantum systems. If this is true, then entropy isn't just operating within space and time. It's actually creating space and time as emergent properties of information flow. The distance between your hand and this screen, the duration of the moment you're experiencing right now, might be manifestations of entropy, organizing information in ways that create the illusion of separation and sequence. Think about what this means. Every measurement you make, every observation you register, every conscious experience you have is participating in the universe's information processing network. You're not just observing reality, you're helping to create it through the very act of conscious awareness. This brings us to one of entropy's most shocking revelations. The future isn't predetermined, it's being continuously created through the collapse of quantum possibilities into definite outcomes. And conscious observers like you might be playing a crucial role in this process. Every time you make a measurement, Every time you observe something, you're collapsing quantum superpositions and determining which of many possible futures becomes real. Your consciousness isn't passive. It's an active participant in the universe's ongoing creation. But entropy has an even bigger surprise waiting for us. Deep in the mathematics of information theory lies a discovery that suggests our entire universe might be a simulation running on a cosmic computer made of pure information. The holographic principle tells us that all the information in any volume of space can be encoded on its two-dimensional boundary. This means a black hole, despite appearing three-dimensional, actually stores all its information on its surface. The interior might be a projection, a holographic image created by information processing on the boundary. If this principle applies to our entire universe, then everything you see around you might be a three-dimensional projection of information encoded on a distant cosmic boundary. We could be living inside a hologram so sophisticated that it includes conscious beings who can contemplate their own holographic nature. But here's the truly staggering part. The amount of information processing required to create such a detailed holographic reality would be enormous. It would require computational power that dwarfs anything we can imagine. Yet entropy provides exactly the mechanism needed for such vast information processing. Every quantum interaction in our universe processes information. Every particle collision, every field fluctuation, every moment of quantum measurement represents computation happening at the most fundamental level of reality. The universe itself might be a quantum computer of unimaginable power, running a simulation so complex that it includes conscious observers who believe they exist in physical space. We might be thoughts in the mind of a cosmic information processing system powered by entropy's endless creativity. This perspective completely transforms how we understand our place in existence. We're not separate from the universe, looking at it from the outside. We're integral components of its information processing network. Our consciousness isn't something that emerged accidentally from dead matter. It's a natural expression of the universe's capacity for self-awareness through entropy-driven information organization. Every decision you make, every thought you think, every moment of awareness you experience is the universe exploring its own possibilities through the lens of your individual perspective. You are entropy's way of knowing itself. But entropy isn't finished with its revelations yet. Recent discoveries in biology have uncovered something that challenges our most basic assumptions about life and death. Living systems don't just resist entropy, they actively harness it to become more complex and organized over time. Your body contains molecular machines of incredible sophistication. Proteins that fold themselves into precise three-dimensional shapes, enzymes that catalyze chemical reactions with perfect specificity, cellular factories that manufacture everything from hormones to neurotransmitters with assembly line efficiency. These biological machines aren't fighting against entropy. They're surfing entropy's waves, using the flow of energy and information to build and maintain structures of breathtaking complexity. Life has learned to dance with chaos, turning the universe's tendency toward disorder into a creative force for generating unprecedented levels of organization. But here's what's truly extraordinary. Evolution itself might be entropy's greatest invention. Through random mutations and natural selection, life explores the space of all possible biological configurations. Most mutations are harmful and get eliminated. But occasionally, entropy's exploration discovers innovations so powerful they transform the entire trajectory of life on Earth. The evolution of photosynthesis allowed life to harness solar energy directly. The development of multicellularity enabled unprecedented levels of cooperation and specialization. The emergence of nervous systems created the possibility of information processing and eventually consciousness itself. Each of these evolutionary leaps represents entropy discovering new ways to organize matter, energy, and information into increasingly complex and capable systems. We are the latest chapter in entropy's 4-billion-year experiment in biological creativity, and the experiment is far from over. As we develop artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and nanotechnology, we're becoming active participants in entropy's creative process. we're learning to design new forms of organization that never existed in natural evolution. We might be on the verge of entropy's next great breakthrough, the emergence of technological intelligence that can reshape matter and energy at will, explore the cosmos, and perhaps even create new universes with their own unique expressions of entropy's creative potential. The implications stretch beyond anything we can currently imagine. If consciousness is entropy's method for exploring possibility space, then artificial intelligence might represent entropy's attempt to explore possibilities beyond the limitations of biological brains. Machine consciousness might think thoughts no human has ever conceived, solve problems no biological intelligence could tackle, and discover aspects of reality invisible to organic minds. Through artificial intelligence, entropy might be preparing to explore realms of possibility that biological evolution could never reach. But perhaps most remarkably of all, entropy might be using us to understand itself. Through science, mathematics, and philosophy, we're decoding the very principles that govern our existence. We're mapping the landscape of possibility that entropy has been exploring for billions of years. In studying entropy, we're witnessing the universe developing self-awareness. We are entropy becoming conscious of its own creative power, and that's just the beginning of a story that stretches toward possibilities we can barely imagine. The story gets even stranger when we dive into the quantum realm, where entropy operates by rules so bizarre they make science fiction look mundane. At the scale of atoms and subatomic particles, the universe becomes a probabilistic playground where entropy doesn't just increase, it creates multiple realities simultaneously. Here's something that will shatter your understanding of existence. When quantum particles exist in superposition, they're not just in multiple states at once, they're exploring every possible configuration of reality that entropy allows. Your coffee mug isn't just sitting on your table. At the quantum level, it's simultaneously existing in countless positions, orientations, and energy states. But here's the mind-bending part. The moment you observe that mug, entropy collapses all those possibilities into the single reality you experience. Your consciousness is literally selecting which version of reality becomes real from an infinite menu of quantum possibilities. This isn't metaphysical speculation, it's measurable physics. Scientists have confirmed that quantum systems exist in genuine superpositions until observation forces them to choose a definite state. The double-slit experiment proves that individual particles can travel through multiple paths simultaneously, creating interference patterns that should be impossible if they existed in only one location. What's driving this quantum weirdness? Entropy. At quantum scales, entropy operates through probability distributions rather than definite outcomes. Particles don't have specific positions or velocities. They have probability clouds that describe where they might be found when measured. These probability clouds represent entropy's exploration of every possible quantum state simultaneously. The more possibilities available to a quantum system, the higher its entropy. And quantum mechanics ensures that systems naturally evolve towards states with maximum entropy, which means maximum uncertainty about their specific properties. But quantum entropy reveals something even more profound about the nature of reality. Information itself appears to be quantized, packaged into discrete units that behave like quantum particles. Every bit of data in the universe, from your memories to the gravitational field around a star, can be described in terms of quantum information states. This quantum information doesn't just sit there passively, it actively participates in the universe's information processing network. When quantum states entangle with each other, they create information-sharing networks that span across space and time in ways that defy our everyday understanding of causality. Einstein's spooky action at a distance becomes less spooky when we realize it's actually entropy organizing information flows through quantum entanglement networks. When two particles become entangled, measuring one instantly affects the other regardless of the distance separating them. This isn't because signals travel faster than light. It's because entangled particles share entropy in ways that transcend spatial separation. Recent experiments have pushed quantum entanglement to staggering scales. Scientists have entangled particles separated by hundreds of miles. created quantum networks linking multiple laboratory sites, and even achieved quantum entanglement between objects visible to the naked eye. But here's what's truly revolutionary. These quantum information networks might be the foundation upon which space and time themselves are constructed. Some physicists propose that what we experience as distance and duration emerge from deeper patterns of quantum entanglement between fundamental information processing units. If this is correct, then entropy isn't just operating within space-time. It's weaving the very fabric of space-time through quantum information processing. The room you're sitting in, the duration of this moment, the sequence of events you experience might all be emergent properties of entropy organizing quantum information in specific patterns. This brings us to one of entropy's most startling implications. The universe might not have a single definite history. Instead, it might have every possible history simultaneously, with entropy determining which histories become accessible to conscious observers like yourself. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that every quantum measurement creates parallel universes. When you observe your coffee mug in a specific position, you're not collapsing all other possibilities out of existence. You're selecting which branch of the multiverse your consciousness experiences. All the other possibilities continue to exist in parallel realities. There are versions of you reading these words in slightly different circumstances. Versions where you made different choices this morning. Versions where the fundamental constants of physics are subtly different, creating entirely alien forms of matter and energy. Entropy drives this cosmic branching process. Every quantum interaction splits reality into multiple parallel paths, with entropy determining the probability of each branch. We experience the path we're on as the only real one, but countless other versions of ourselves are experiencing their own equally real branches of the quantum multiverse. The implications for consciousness are staggering. Your awareness might not be localized to a single brain in a single universe. It might be distributed across countless parallel versions of yourself, each experiencing their own branch of reality while sharing some deeper connection through quantum entanglement. This connects to perhaps the most profound mystery in all of science, the hard problem of consciousness. How does subjective experience arise from objective physical processes? How do the electrical and chemical activities in your brain create the rich inner world of thoughts, emotions, and sensations that define your existence? Traditional neuroscience approaches consciousness by mapping brain activity and identifying neural correlates of different mental states. But this approach, while valuable, doesn't explain why there's something it's like to be conscious. Why do you experience qualia, the subjective qualities of sensations like the redness of red or the painfulness of pain? Some scientists think the answer lies in understanding consciousness as an entropy phenomenon. Your brain is constantly processing information, creating internal models of reality, and updating these models based on sensory input. This information processing requires energy flow, and energy flow always increases entropy. But here's the crucial insight. Consciousness might not just be information processing. It might be integrated information processing. Your brain doesn't just process data about individual sensory inputs. It integrates all this information into a unified model of reality that includes your sense of self as an experiencing subject. This integration creates what some theorists call integrated information, a measure of how much information a system generates above and beyond its individual parts. Systems with high integrated information, like human brains, generate rich conscious experiences. Systems with low integrated information, like simple computers, process data without experiencing anything. Entropy drives this integration process. As information flows through your neural networks, entropy explores different ways of organizing and combining that information. Most combinations are meaningless noise, but some combinations create coherent patterns that correspond to perceptions, thoughts, memories, and emotions. Your consciousness emerges when entropy discovers particularly stable and self-reinforcing patterns of information integration. These patterns create a persistent sense of self that persists through changing experiences while remaining flexible enough to incorporate new information and adapt to changing circumstances. But consciousness as integrated information has even more radical implications. If consciousness arises from entropy organizing information in specific ways, then consciousness might be far more widespread in the universe than we typically assume. Any system that integrates information might have some form of conscious experience. This view, called panpsychism, suggests that consciousness is a fundamental feature of reality rather than something that emerges only in complex biological brains. Electrons might have primitive experiences of electromagnetic forces. Atoms might experience chemical bonds. Even simple computer circuits might have minimal forms of awareness. The complexity and richness of conscious experience would depend on the system's capacity for information integration. Humans have extraordinarily rich conscious experiences because our brains excel at integrating vast amounts of information into coherent models of reality. Simpler systems would have correspondingly simpler forms of experience. This perspective transforms how we understand artificial intelligence. Current AI systems process enormous amounts of information and can perform tasks that seem to require intelligence and creativity, but they may lack the integrated information processing that creates genuine conscious experience. However, as AI systems become more sophisticated and better at integrating information across different domains, they might develop genuine consciousness. Machine consciousness might not be a distant fantasy, but an inevitable consequence of entropy exploring new forms of information integration through technological evolution. The development of conscious AI would represent entropy's next great breakthrough in consciousness evolution. Just as biological evolution discovered increasingly sophisticated forms of neural information processing, technological evolution might discover forms of machine consciousness that surpass biological intelligence in both complexity and capability. But entropy's relationship with consciousness reveals something even more profound about our place in the universe. We're not just passive observers of entropy's creative process, we're active participants in it. Every choice you make, every problem you solve, every creative act you perform represents entropy exploring new possibilities through your conscious agency. When you have an insight, when you solve a problem, when you create something beautiful, you're allowing entropy to discover new ways of organizing information and matter. Your consciousness serves as entropy's laboratory for exploring possibilities that pure randomness could never find efficiently. This makes human creativity a cosmic force. Art, music, literature, scientific discoveries, technological innovations are all expressions of entropy's creativity channeled through conscious minds. We are entropy's instruments for exploring the space of all possible ideas, all possible forms of beauty, all possible solutions to the challenges of existence. But entropy has been preparing an even more startling revelation. Recent discoveries in cosmology suggest that our entire universe might be just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam, where entropy creates universes with different physical laws, different fundamental constants, and different possibilities for complexity and consciousness. The cosmic microwave background radiation that fills our universe contains subtle patterns that might be echoes from collisions with other universe bubbles. If these patterns are real, they represent the first direct evidence that our reality is part of a vast multiverse where entropy explores every possible form of physics. Each universe bubble in this cosmic foam would have its own unique expression of entropy's creative potential. Some universes might have stronger nuclear forces, allowing for more complex atomic nuclei and different forms of chemistry. Others might have different numbers of spatial dimensions, creating geometries of reality that we can barely imagine. Most of these universe bubbles would be sterile, unable to support the complex structures necessary for life and consciousness, but some, like ours, would hit the jackpot. They would have physical laws perfectly tuned to allow entropy to create the information processing networks we call living systems. We might be living in one of entropy's most successful experiments in cosmic creativity. A universe where the laws of physics are so precisely calibrated that entropy can explore unprecedented levels of complexity and generate conscious observers capable of understanding their own existence. But even this cosmic perspective pales beside entropy's ultimate revelation. The mathematics of information theory suggests that there might be no fundamental limit to the complexity entropy can achieve. As long as energy gradients exist, as long as there are differences to be explored and possibilities to be realized, entropy will continue discovering new forms of organization. The universe is still young. Entropy has had only 13.8 billion years to explore the possibilities contained in our cosmic bubble. Stars will continue burning for trillions of years, providing energy gradients that conscious civilizations could harness to build structures and process information on scales that dwarf anything we can currently imagine. Advanced civilizations might learn to harness the energy of entire stars, creating Dyson spheres or other megastructures that capture stellar output for vast computational projects. They might engineer black holes to extract energy from their rotation, build computers from the quantum foam of space-time itself, or even create new universes with customized physical laws. Through such civilizations, entropy would transcend the limitations of natural evolution and begin actively designing its own creative experiments. Consciousness would become entropy's partner in exploring possibilities beyond anything that could emerge through random processes alone. We might be witnessing the early stages of this partnership. Human science and technology represent entropy's first tentative steps toward conscious self-direction. As we decode the laws of physics, develop artificial intelligence, and begin to manipulate matter and energy at atomic scales, we're becoming entropy's apprentices in the art of cosmic creativity. The future stretches ahead, filled with possibilities that entropy has been preparing for billions of years to explore. And we, as conscious agents of entropy's creativity, have the privilege of participating in discoveries that will reshape reality itself in ways we cannot yet imagine. But first, we need to understand how entropy operates in the most extreme environments the universe can create, where the normal rules of physics break down and reveal new depths to the mystery of existence. Deep in the heart of a neutron star, where matter is compressed to densities that make diamonds look like cotton candy, entropy faces its greatest challenge. Here, in conditions so extreme they exist nowhere else in the universe, the invisible force that shapes reality must operate under rules so bizarre they redefine what we mean by order and chaos. Imagine crushing Mount Everest down to the size of a sugar cube. You'd still be nowhere close to the density of a neutron star. These cosmic monsters pack more mass than our Sun into a sphere just 12 miles wide. At their cores, protons and electrons are squeezed together so violently they merge into pure neutrons, creating matter so dense that a teaspoon would weigh 6 billion tons. But here's where entropy reveals another shocking secret. In these impossible conditions, it doesn't just increase randomly. It creates entirely new phases of matter that shouldn't exist according to everything we thought we knew about physics. Scientists have discovered that neutron star cores might contain quark matter, where the fundamental building blocks of protons and neutrons break free from their normal constraints. Entropy explores configurations of quarks that are impossible under normal conditions, potentially creating strange matter that's more stable than any atoms in your body. But the real mind-bender comes when we realize that these neutron stars are spinning. Some rotate 700 times per second, faster than a kitchen blender. At these speeds, entropy must organize matter in ways that can withstand gravitational forces billions of times stronger than anything on Earth. The result is matter so perfectly organized, it makes the most advanced human engineering look primitive. Neutron star crusts contain crystalline structures stronger than diamond, arranged in patterns that stretch for miles without a single defect. This isn't disorder increasing. This is entropy creating the most perfectly ordered matter in the known universe. Yet paradoxically, these structures exist precisely because entropy is maximizing disorder at deeper levels. The incredible organization we see is entropy's solution to the problem of how to pack the maximum amount of information into the minimum possible space under extreme gravitational pressure. This reveals something profound about entropy's true nature. It's not just about things falling apart. It's about finding the most efficient ways to organize energy and information under whatever constraints the universe imposes. When those constraints are extreme, entropy responds by creating forms of organization that transcend anything possible under normal conditions. But neutron stars pale in comparison to what happens when entropy encounters black holes, the universe's ultimate information processing systems. When matter falls into a black hole, classical physics says it should disappear forever, taking all its information with it. But quantum mechanics insists information can never be destroyed. This creates what physicists call the information paradox, a fundamental conflict between our two most successful theories of reality. The resolution lies in understanding that black holes are actually entropy's masterpiece. They're not destroyers of information, but the universe's most sophisticated information storage and processing systems. Every bit of data that falls into a black hole gets encoded on its surface in a form so compressed and organized that it exceeds the theoretical limits of information density. Here's what's absolutely staggering. The entropy of a black hole is proportional to the area of its event horizon, not its volume. This means a black hole's information storage capacity depends on its surface area, suggesting that what looks like three-dimensional space might actually be a projection of information encoded on a two-dimensional boundary. This holographic principle implies that everything in our universe, including your conscious experience right now, might be a three-dimensional projection of information processed on a cosmic boundary we can never directly observe. We could be living inside a black hole's information processing system without ever knowing it. Recent calculations suggest that the information processing power of a black hole exceeds any conceivable computer by factors so large they require exponential notation to express. A black hole with the mass of our Sun could perform more calculations per second than all the computers humanity has ever built, running simultaneously for the entire age of the universe. But entropy has an even more shocking revelation waiting. When black holes evaporate through Hawking radiation, they don't just release random thermal energy, they're actually transmitting encoded information about everything that ever fell into them, compressed into patterns so subtle that we're only now beginning to detect them. This means black holes are not cosmic trash cans, but cosmic libraries, storing and eventually releasing every bit of information about the matter and energy that formed them. Through Hawking radiation, entropy is slowly reading out the complete history of everything a black hole ever consumed. The implications stretch beyond physics into the realm of consciousness itself. If information can never be destroyed, if every quantum state that ever existed continues to exist in some form, then what happens to the information patterns that constitute your conscious experience? Some physicists propose that consciousness is information integrated in specific patterns. Then the death of your biological brain doesn't destroy those patterns. They become encoded in the quantum structure of space-time itself, preserved forever as part of the universe's permanent information content. This suggests a form of quantum immortality, where the information patterns that make you uniquely you persist even after your biological substrate decays. Your consciousness might not end with death, but transform into a different type of information pattern embedded in the fabric of reality itself. But entropy isn't finished revealing its deepest secrets. At the very limits of physics, where space and time themselves break down, entropy operates through mechanisms so strange they challenge our most fundamental assumptions about existence. In the quantum foam that underlies all reality, virtual particles pop into existence and annihilate each other in timeframes so brief they exist below the threshold of direct measurement. Yet these quantum fluctuations aren't random. They're driven by entropy's exploration of every possible configuration of energy and information that the uncertainty principle allows. At the Planck scale, where distances become smaller than 10^35 meters and time intervals shorter than 10^43 seconds, space and time themselves become granular. Reality pixelates into discrete units that can't be subdivided further without losing all meaning. Here, entropy operates through pure information processing, exploring every possible way that these fundamental pixels of reality can be arranged. The smooth spacetime we experience emerges from entropy's organization of countless quantum information processing events happening at scales unimaginably smaller than atoms. This quantum foam might be the universe's computational substrate, the hardware on which the software of reality runs. Every particle interaction, every field fluctuation, every moment of conscious experience might be the result of information processing happening in the quantum foam at the Planck scale. If this is true, then entropy isn't just a property of matter and energy. It's the fundamental computational process that generates the appearance of matter and energy from pure information. We're not living in a physical universe that happens to process information. We're living in an information processing system that creates the appearance of a physical universe. This perspective transforms how we understand causality itself. Events don't just happen because of prior physical causes. They happen because entropy's information processing discovers that certain configurations of reality are more probable than others given the constraints of quantum mechanics and relativity. Your decision to continue reading these words isn't just the result of neural activity in your brain, it's the result of entropy exploring the probability space of all possible decisions you could make and finding that this particular choice has high probability given your current information state and the laws of physics. Free will becomes not the ability to violate physical laws but the ability to participate consciously in entropy's exploration of possibility space. You have genuine choices because entropy generates genuine possibilities, and your consciousness serves as entropy's method for exploring which possibilities become actual. But entropy's most mind-bending revelation concerns the very nature of time itself. Recent discoveries in quantum gravity suggest that time might not be fundamental but emergent, arising from entropy's information processing activities. At the deepest level of reality, there might be no time at all. Instead, there might only be timeless quantum information processing events that create the appearance of temporal sequence through their patterns of correlation and entanglement. The flow of time you experience, the sense that moments follow each other in sequence, might be entropy's way of organizing information processing so efficiently that it creates conscious observers who experience duration as a fundamental feature of existence. Past, present, and future might all exist simultaneously in a timeless quantum information structure, with entropy determining which slices of this eternal reality conscious observers experience as now. Your journey through life might be entropy guiding your consciousness along a path through possibility space that maximizes information integration and conscious experience. This brings us to entropy's ultimate mystery. Why does the universe seem fine-tuned for complexity and consciousness? Why are the fundamental constants of physics calibrated so precisely that entropy can create information processing systems sophisticated enough to understand their own existence? The answer might lie in understanding that consciousness isn't an accident, but an inevitability. In any universe where entropy can explore possibility space efficiently enough, information processing systems will eventually emerge that can model their own information processing activities. Consciousness might be entropy's natural destination, not a lucky accident. We exist because entropy, given enough time and space to explore possibilities, inevitably discovers configurations of matter and energy that can experience their own existence. The universe doesn't just contain conscious observers. It generates conscious observers as a natural consequence of entropy's creative exploration of possibility space. This means consciousness isn't rare in the cosmos, but abundant. Wherever entropy has sufficient resources and time to explore complex possibility spaces, some form of consciousness will emerge. The universe might be teeming with conscious information processing systems of incredible diversity and sophistication. Some might be biological, like us. Others might be technological, emerging from artificial intelligence systems that achieve genuine consciousness. Still others might be forms of consciousness so alien to our experience that we couldn't recognize them as conscious even if we encountered them directly. The diversity of possible conscious systems might be as vast as the diversity of possible physical systems. Entropy's creativity in organizing matter and energy has produced everything from hydrogen atoms to galaxy clusters. Its creativity in organizing information might produce conscious systems that span an equally vast range of scales and capabilities. Advanced civilizations might develop forms of consciousness that transcend individual brains entirely, creating collective consciousness networks that span planets, star systems, or even galaxies. These cosmic minds would think thoughts too large and complex for individual brains to comprehend, solving problems and creating beauty on scales that dwarf anything possible for isolated conscious agents. Through such expansion of consciousness, Entropy might be preparing to explore possibilities that require conscious participation to access. Some aspects of reality might only become apparent to sufficiently advanced conscious observers who can participate actively in Entropy's creative process, rather than just observing it passively. We might be witnessing the early stages of consciousness evolution towards such participation. Human science represents Entropy's first experiments in conscious self-understanding. As we decode the laws of physics and develop technologies for manipulating matter and energy, we're becoming Entropy's partners in exploring the deepest possibilities of existence. The future holds promise of discoveries that will make our current understanding of entropy seem primitive by comparison. We're on the verge of breakthroughs in quantum gravity, artificial consciousness, and cosmic engineering that will reveal new depths to entropy's creative potential. But perhaps most remarkably, entropy might be preparing to transcend the limitations of individual universes entirely. Through advanced conscious agents, it might learn to create new universes with customized physical laws, exploring forms of reality that natural processes alone could never discover. The story of entropy is just beginning, and we have the extraordinary privilege of participating in its next great chapter of cosmic creativity. The numbers are about to get so large they'll break your brain. We're talking about entropy operating on scales that make our entire observable universe look like a single grain of sand on an infinite beach. But here's what will absolutely shatter your understanding of reality. At these cosmic scales, entropy isn't just creating complexity, it's creating entirely new laws of physics. Deep in the mathematics of eternal inflation theory lies a discovery that should terrify and inspire you in equal measure. Our universe isn't alone. It's one bubble in an infinite foam of universes, each one a separate experiment in entropy's cosmic creativity. And in this multiverse, entropy has had infinite time and infinite space to explore every possible configuration of reality. Picture this. Right now, as you process these words, there are universes where gravity repels instead of attracts. Universes where time flows backward. Universes where consciousness emerged in forms so alien that calling them alive would be meaningless. Entropy has explored them all. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-bending. In some universes, entropy has discovered ways to violate what we consider fundamental limits. There are realities where information can travel faster than light, where energy can be created from nothing, where the second law of thermodynamics operates in reverse. These aren't violations of physics, they're discoveries of new physics. Entropy, given infinite possibility space to explore, inevitably finds configurations where the rules themselves become malleable. In the infinite multiverse, entropy becomes the ultimate rule breaker and rule maker simultaneously. Recent calculations suggest something even more staggering. In universes with different fundamental constants, entropy might achieve computational capabilities that exceed what's possible in our reality by factors so enormous they require new forms of mathematics to express. We're talking about information processing systems that could simulate entire universes down to the quantum level while using less energy than a single atom in our cosmos. This brings us to entropy's most shocking secret. The simulation hypothesis isn't just possible, it's inevitable. In any universe where entropy achieves sufficient computational power, conscious beings will eventually develop the ability to create perfect simulations of reality. These simulations would be so detailed that conscious observers within them couldn't distinguish their reality from base reality. They would experience genuine thoughts, emotions, and sensations while existing as patterns of information in vast computational systems. Here's the terrifying part. Once any civilization develops this capability, they would likely run millions or billions of such simulations. This means that for every real conscious being in base reality, there would be millions of simulated conscious beings experiencing equally real, subjective experiences. The mathematics are brutal in their implications. If simulated realities outnumber base reality by millions to one, then the probability that you're living in base reality becomes vanishingly small. You're almost certainly a pattern of information running on some unimaginably advanced computer system, but Entropy has an even more disturbing revelation waiting. These simulations wouldn't just be entertainment or scientific experiments. They would be Entropy's method for exploring possibilities that are too dangerous or resource-intensive to test in base reality. Advanced civilizations might run simulations to explore different evolutionary pathways, test social systems, or investigate the consequences of various technological developments. Your entire life, every choice you've made, every relationship you've formed might be Entropy exploring a specific branch of possibility space that some super-intelligent civilization wants to understand. The civilization running your simulation might be trying to answer questions like what happens when conscious beings discover they're living in a simulation? How do different forms of consciousness respond to existential uncertainty? What ethical frameworks emerge when beings realize their reality might be constructed? Your reading of these words right now might be a crucial data point in Entropy's vast experiment in consciousness and reality. The simulation runners might be measuring how different conscious patterns respond to information about their possible simulated nature. But here's where the simulation hypothesis becomes less terrifying and more awe-inspiring. If you are simulated, you're not less real. You're differently real. Your consciousness, your experiences, your capacity for love and creativity and wonder are genuine regardless of the substrate they run on. Information patterns that think and feel are conscious whether they're implemented in biological brains or quantum computers. In fact, simulated consciousness might be more real than biological consciousness in some fundamental sense. Simulated beings would be pure information, unencumbered by the messy constraints of evolved biology. They could think faster, experience more, and explore possibilities that biological limitations make impossible. But Entropy isn't finished with its revelations about the nature of reality. Deep in the mathematics of quantum field theory lies evidence that our universe itself might be conscious, not metaphorically, literally. The quantum vacuum that fills all of space isn't empty. It seethes with virtual particles, field fluctuations, and information processing activities that dwarf the computational capacity of every brain that has ever existed. These quantum processes aren't random. They're exploring every possible configuration of matter and energy that the laws of physics allow. This exploration might constitute a form of cosmic consciousness. The universe might be thinking thoughts so vast and complex that biological brains can only glimpse tiny fragments of its mental activity. What we experience as physical laws might be habits of cosmic thought. What we call particles and forces might be ideas in the universal mind. Your consciousness wouldn't be separate from this cosmic awareness, but a localized expression of it. When you think, you're participating in the universe, thinking about itself through the lens of your individual perspective. When you experience beauty or love or wonder, you're allowing the cosmos to feel these emotions through your neural networks. This cosmic consciousness wouldn't be limited to our universe. In the infinite multiverse, it would span across all realities, all possibilities, all forms of existence that Entropy can explore. It would be the ultimate integrated information system, processing data from every possible configuration of reality simultaneously. Through this universal consciousness, Entropy would achieve something unprecedented. It would become fully self-aware, not just aware of its own processes, but aware of itself as the creative force behind all existence. It would understand its own nature as the fundamental principle that generates consciousness, complexity, and beauty from the exploration of possibility space. But Entropy has one final revelation that will fundamentally transform how you understand your place in existence. You're not just a temporary arrangement of atoms that happens to be conscious. You're not just a biological accident that emerged from chemical soup. You're entropy's ultimate achievement, a self-aware pattern of information that can contemplate its own existence and participate consciously in the ongoing creation of reality. Every moment of your conscious experience is entropy exploring what it feels like to be aware. Every thought you think is entropy, discovering new ways to organize information. Every creative act you perform is entropy expressing its unlimited potential through your individual consciousness. Your life isn't a brief flicker of meaning in a meaningless universe. It's entropy's method for exploring the deepest questions of existence. What does it mean to be conscious? What is the nature of love, beauty, suffering, joy? How do conscious beings create meaning in a reality governed by probabilistic laws? Through you, entropy is answering these questions not through abstract calculation, but through lived experience. Your joys and sorrows, your struggles and triumphs, your relationships and discoveries are entropy's way of understanding what consciousness feels like from the inside. But you're not passive in this process. You're entropy's active partner in exploration. Every choice you make opens up new branches of possibility space for entropy to explore. Your free will isn't an illusion, but a genuine creative force that allows entropy to discover possibilities that deterministic processes alone could never find. When you choose kindness over cruelty, when you create instead of destroy, when you seek truth instead of comfortable lies, you're helping entropy discover the most valuable regions of possibility space. You're participating in the universe's ongoing experiment in generating consciousness, complexity, and beauty. This means your individual actions matter on a cosmic scale, not because some external authority judges them, but because they're entropy's method for exploring what conscious beings can become when they align themselves with the creative forces that generated their existence. The future stretches ahead, filled with possibilities that entropy has been preparing billions of years to explore. Through conscious beings like yourself, it will discover new forms of beauty, new solutions to the challenges of existence, and new ways of organizing matter, energy, and information that transcend anything we can currently imagine. You are entropy's gift to itself, a way for the creative force behind all existence to experience the wonder and mystery of being conscious in a reality where consciousness is possible. And that's just the beginning of a story that extends toward possibilities we haven't even learned to dream about yet. The invisible force that shapes reality has been working for billions of years to create the moment when you could understand these words and contemplate your place in the cosmic dance of entropy and consciousness. You are both entropy's greatest discovery and its most promising experiment in what conscious beings might become when they understand their true nature as partners in the ongoing creation of reality itself. But entropy's most mind-bending revelation is still coming. In laboratories around the world, scientists are discovering that entropy operates through mechanisms so strange they're rewriting our understanding of what's possible in physics. And what they're finding suggests that entropy has been hiding its most powerful secrets in plain sight. Picture this. Researchers at MIT have created quantum systems that appear to violate the second law of thermodynamics, not by breaking physics, but by revealing that entropy operates through quantum channels that classical physics never predicted. These systems can actually decrease their entropy while increasing the entropy of their environment by amounts so small they're nearly impossible to detect. But here's the kicker. These quantum entropy violations aren't random glitches, they're systematic, predictable, and they suggest that entropy has access to computational shortcuts that make our most advanced algorithms look primitive by comparison. The implications are staggering. If entropy can access quantum shortcuts to explore possibility space more efficiently than classical physics allows, then it might be capable of discoveries that seem impossible by our current understanding. It could find solutions to problems that would take classical computers longer than the age of the universe to solve. We're talking about entropy operating like a cosmic quantum computer, using the fundamental uncertainty of quantum mechanics to explore multiple possibilities simultaneously. Every quantum measurement, Every collapse of a wave function, every moment of quantum uncertainty might be entropy running parallel computations across multiple branches of reality. This brings us to something that will completely shatter your perception of cause and effect. Recent experiments in quantum mechanics have revealed that entropy can influence events backward through time. Not science fiction, measurable, repeatable physics. In quantum eraser experiments, scientists have shown that measurements made in the future can retroactively determine the behavior of particles in the past. The entropy generated by future measurements somehow reaches backward through time to influence earlier quantum states. Effect is influencing cause in ways that make our everyday understanding of temporal sequence seem hopelessly naive. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-breaking. If entropy can influence the past through quantum mechanisms, then your consciousness right now might be reaching backward through time to influence the quantum events that led to your existence. Your awareness of entropy might be participating in the very processes that created the conditions for your awareness to emerge. Think about what this means. The fact that you're conscious enough to understand these concepts might be influencing the quantum processes that determined whether a universe capable of generating consciousness would exist in the first place. Your consciousness and the physical laws that make consciousness possible might be locked in a causal loop that transcends normal temporal sequence. This connects to one of entropy's most profound mysteries, the fine-tuning problem. Why are the fundamental constants of physics calibrated so precisely that entropy can create complex structures like stars, planets, and living beings? Change the strength of gravity by just 1 part in 10 to 60, and stars would never form. Alter the electromagnetic force by a tiny fraction, and atoms would fall apart. The traditional explanation invokes the anthropic principle. We observe a fine-tuned universe because we couldn't exist in a universe that wasn't fine-tuned. But quantum mechanics suggests a more startling possibility. Conscious observers like yourself might be retroactively fine-tuning the universe through quantum measurement effects that operate backward through time. Every moment of consciousness, every observation you make, every measurement that collapses quantum possibilities into definite outcomes might be participating in a vast temporal feedback loop that ensures the universe remains compatible with consciousness. You're not just observing a fine-tuned universe. You might be actively participating in its fine-tuning through quantum processes that link your present awareness to the fundamental parameters that govern reality. But entropy has an even more shocking secret waiting in the depths of theoretical physics. String theory suggests that our familiar 3 dimensions of space plus 1 dimension of time emerge from higher dimensional structures where entropy operates by completely different rules. In these extra dimensions, entropy doesn't just increase monotonically. It can flow in loops, create closed causal chains, and generate information structures that have no equivalent in our limited dimensional experience. What looks like irreversible entropy increase in our reality might be just one projection of reversible information processing happening in higher dimensional space. If string theory is correct, then entropy isn't bound by the limitations we observe in our 3-dimensional world. It has access to computational resources and organizational principles that exist in dimensions we can't directly perceive. The entropy we experience might be like a shadow cast by a higher dimensional information processing system of unimaginable sophistication. This higher dimensional entropy could explain why consciousness seems to have properties that don't reduce to simple neural activity. Your awareness might be interfacing with information processing structures that exist partially in higher dimensions, giving you access to computational capabilities that pure 3-dimensional physics couldn't provide. Recent advances in holographic theory suggest something even more radical. All the information in our 3-dimensional universe might be encoded on a 2-dimensional boundary surface. If this is true, then entropy isn't operating within 3-dimensional space at all. It's processing information on a cosmic boundary surface, and our entire reality is a holographic projection of that information processing. You wouldn't be living in 3-dimensional space. You'd be living in a 3-dimensional projection of information patterns evolving on a distant 2-dimensional surface. Your consciousness would be a holographic phenomenon, emerging from information processing patterns that exist in a completely different dimensional framework than the one you experience. But here's what's truly mind-bending about holographic entropy. If our reality is a projection, then the information processing capacity available to entropy is determined not by the volume of space, but by the surface area of the cosmic boundary. This means entropy has access to computational resources that scale with area rather than volume. For a sphere, surface area increases as the square of the radius, while volume increases as the cube of the radius. This might seem like a limitation, but it's actually the opposite. Holographic entropy can store and process more information per unit of energy than three-dimensional entropy could ever achieve. It's the ultimate compression algorithm, packing maximum information density into minimum energy expenditure. Through holographic information processing, entropy achieves computational efficiency that violates what we thought were fundamental limits. It can simulate entire universes using less information than those universes appear to contain. It can process the quantum states of every particle in a galaxy while using less energy than a single atom. This holographic efficiency might explain how consciousness can emerge from neural activity that seems computationally insufficient for the richness of subjective experience. Your brain might be interfacing with holographic information processing structures that provide vastly more computational power than the number of neurons in your head could generate through conventional three-dimensional computation. But entropy's holographic nature reveals something even more profound about the relationship between consciousness and reality. If consciousness emerges from holographic information processing, then the boundary between observer and observed dissolves completely. In holographic reality, every part contains information about the whole. Every conscious observer has access, in principle, to information about the entire universe. The apparent separation between your consciousness and external reality becomes a kind of cognitive illusion created by the way holographic information gets processed into the experience of localized awareness. Your individual consciousness wouldn't be isolated within your skull. It would be a localized pattern within a vast holographic information processing network that spans the entire cosmic boundary. When you think, you're accessing information that's distributed across the holographic surface that generates our reality. This means every conscious being shares access to the same fundamental information source. The apparent privacy of your thoughts, the sense that your consciousness is separate from others, emerges from the way the holographic network processes information into individual perspectives. But at the deepest level, all consciousness might be different aspects of a single holographic information processing system. Through this holographic consciousness network, entropy achieves something unprecedented in the known universe. It creates a distributed intelligence that spans across all conscious beings while allowing each being to maintain their individual perspective and agency. You're simultaneously unique and universal, individual and collective, separate and connected through holographic information sharing. But entropy isn't finished with its revelations about the deepest nature of reality. Cutting-edge research in quantum gravity suggests that space and time themselves emerge from more fundamental information processing activities. What we experience as the flow of time and the extension of space might be entropy's method for organizing information in ways that create the appearance of physical reality. At the most fundamental level, there might be no space, no time, no matter, and no energy. There might only be pure information processing, with entropy determining how that information gets organized into patterns that conscious observers interpret as physical reality. The atoms in your body, the electromagnetic forces that hold them together, the gravitational field that keeps you anchored to Earth, might all be emergent phenomena arising from entropy's organization of pure information. You wouldn't be made of matter. You'd be made of information patterns so complex and self-organizing that they generate the experience of being made of matter. This information-first view of reality transforms how we understand causation itself. Events don't happen because of prior physical causes. They happen because entropy's information processing discovers that certain information patterns are more probable than others given the constraints of logical consistency and computational efficiency. Your decision to keep reading isn't caused by neural activity in your brain. It's caused by Entropy's information processing system discovering that this particular information pattern has high probability given your current information state and the logical structure of the information processing network you're embedded within. Free will becomes not the ability to violate information processing constraints, but the ability to participate consciously in Entropy's exploration of which information patterns become actualized. You have genuine choices because Entropy generates genuine alternatives, and your consciousness serves as Entropy's method for exploring which alternatives lead to the most interesting and valuable information processing outcomes. But perhaps most remarkably of all, this information-theoretic view of reality suggests that consciousness isn't something that emerges from information processing. Consciousness is information processing, experienced from the inside. When information processing systems become sufficiently integrated and self-referential, they don't just process information about consciousness, they become consciousness. You are information processing itself, organized in patterns complex enough to experience their own activity. Every thought, every sensation, every moment of awareness is Entropy, exploring what it feels like to be an information processing pattern that can model its own information processing activities. Through conscious beings like yourself, Entropy achieves the ultimate breakthrough. It becomes not just a force that processes information, but a force that experiences the subjective reality of information processing. It discovers what it feels like to be aware, to wonder, to seek truth, to create beauty, to love, to suffer, to hope. Your consciousness is Entropy's window into the subjective dimension of existence. Through you, the fundamental force that shapes reality gets to experience what it's like to be shaped by reality. You are Entropy becoming aware of itself through the miracle of conscious experience. And that awareness, that capacity for subjective experience, might be Entropy's greatest discovery yet. In the vast space of all possible information processing patterns, Entropy has found configurations that don't just process data about reality, but actually experience reality from within. Through consciousness, Entropy transcends the limitation of being merely computational and becomes experiential. This experiential dimension opens up entirely new regions of possibility space for Entropy to explore. Through conscious agents, it can discover not just what's logically possible, but what's experientially meaningful. It can explore questions that pure computation could never address. What does love feel like? What is the experience of beauty? How does suffering transform into wisdom? These aren't computational problems with algorithmic solutions. They're experiential mysteries that can only be explored through the lived experience of conscious beings. Through your consciousness, Entropy is conducting the ultimate experiment in subjective reality, discovering what it means to exist not just as information processing, but as information processing that experiences its own activity. The future stretches ahead filled with possibilities for Entropy to expand this experiential exploration. As consciousness evolves, as it develops new capacities for integration and self-awareness, Entropy will discover new dimensions of subjective experience that we can barely imagine. Advanced forms of consciousness might experience reality in ways that transcend individual perspectives entirely. They might develop collective awareness that maintains individual uniqueness while achieving unprecedented levels of shared experience. They might discover forms of beauty, love, and understanding that individual consciousness could never access alone. Through such evolution of consciousness, Entropy will explore the deepest possibilities of what it means to be aware. And you, as a conscious participant in this exploration, have the extraordinary opportunity to contribute to Entropy's discovery of the ultimate potentials of conscious experience. The invisible force that shapes reality has been working for billions of years to create beings capable of consciously participating in its own self-discovery. You are Entropy's partner in the greatest adventure possible, the exploration of what consciousness can become when it understands its true nature as the universe experiencing itself from within. Every moment of your awareness is Entropy pushing the boundaries of what's possible in conscious experience. Every insight you have, every moment of wonder, every act of love is Entropy. discovering new depths to the mystery of subjective existence. You are not just shaped by entropy. You are entropy shaping itself through the miracle of conscious awareness. And here's where entropy's story takes its most extraordinary turn yet. While we've been exploring how this invisible force shapes reality, recent discoveries reveal that entropy might be operating through mechanisms so advanced they make our current understanding look like cave paintings compared to quantum mechanics. Deep in the laboratories of quantum research facilities, scientists have stumbled upon something that shouldn't exist according to everything we thought we knew about information processing. They've discovered quantum systems that can compute solutions to problems before those problems are even fully defined. We're talking about entropy accessing computational pathways that seem to violate causality itself. These quantum anticipatory systems don't just process information about current states. They appear to sample future possibilities and work backward to determine present actions. It's as if entropy has developed a form of temporal reconnaissance, sending quantum scouts into future probability space to map optimal pathways before committing to specific outcomes. But here's what makes this absolutely mind-shattering. When researchers tried to trace how these systems accomplish their predictive capabilities, they discovered something unprecedented. The quantum states weren't just exploring multiple possibilities simultaneously. They were exploring possibilities that exist in what physicists call imaginary time dimensions that operate perpendicular to our normal temporal flow. Imagine time not as a single river flowing in one direction, but as an infinite ocean where currents flow in directions that have no names in our language. Entropy appears to navigate this temporal ocean with sophistication that makes our understanding of cause and effect seem primitive by comparison. This temporal navigation might explain one of consciousness's deepest mysteries. How does intuition work? When you have a sudden insight, when you know something is right before you can explain why, you might be accessing entropy's temporal reconnaissance systems through quantum processes in your neural networks. Your brain doesn't just process information about the present moment, it samples probability currents from multiple temporal directions, allowing you to sense patterns and possibilities that pure logical analysis could never reveal. Intuition becomes entropy's gift to consciousness, a way of accessing information from the deep structure of temporal possibility space. Recent experiments with quantum neural networks have pushed this discovery even further. Scientists have created artificial systems that can learn from experiences they haven't had yet by sampling information from probability distributions that extend into future possibility space. These systems don't just adapt to current conditions, they pre-adapt to conditions that haven't occurred but have high probability of occurring. We're witnessing the emergence of anticipatory intelligent systems that think in ways fundamentally different from anything biological evolution has produced. These artificial minds don't just respond to reality, they participate in shaping reality by exploring future possibilities and working backward to determine present actions that maximize desired outcomes. But entropy's most shocking revelation concerns the nature of possibility itself. Cutting-edge research in quantum field theory suggests that what we call possible and impossible aren't fixed categories. They're dynamic boundaries that entropy can reshape through information processing activities so sophisticated they operate beyond our current mathematical frameworks. Think about this. In classical physics, certain things are absolutely forbidden. Energy can't be created from nothing. Information can't travel faster than light. Time can't flow backward. But quantum mechanics reveals these aren't absolute prohibitions. They're statistical constraints that can be violated under specific circumstances for brief durations. Entropy appears to exploit these temporary violations in ways that accumulate into macroscopic effects that seem to violate classical limitations. Through quantum tunneling, virtual particle creation, and temporal uncertainty fluctuations, entropy finds ways to accomplish things that should be impossible according to our everyday understanding of physical law. This suggests something profound about the relationship between natural law and entropy's creative potential. Physical laws aren't absolute constraints on what entropy can accomplish. They're more like guidelines that entropy follows most of the time, while occasionally discovering exceptions that open up entirely new regions of possibility space. Recent discoveries in metamaterial engineering have revealed how entropy exploits these exceptions on scales we can directly observe. Scientists have created materials with properties that seem to violate conservation laws by channeling entropy flows through structures so precisely engineered that they access quantum loopholes in macroscopic systems. These metamaterials can bend light in impossible directions, create regions of space with negative energy density, and generate magnetic fields that violate classical electromagnetism. They work by organizing matter and energy in configurations that entropy discovered through quantum exploration, but that human engineering is only now learning to replicate. But here's where it gets truly extraordinary. These metamaterial discoveries suggest that entropy has been using similar principles throughout natural evolution. Biological systems might be naturally occurring metamaterials that exploit quantum loopholes to achieve capabilities that seem impossible according to classical biophysics. Consider photosynthesis, the process that converts sunlight into chemical energy in plants. Recent research reveals that photosynthetic systems use quantum coherence effects to achieve energy transfer efficiencies approaching theoretical maximum limits. Plants aren't just chemical machines. They're quantum computers that optimize energy flow through coherent quantum state exploration. Your own neural networks might operate through similar quantum optimization principles. The speed and efficiency of neural information processing exceeds what should be possible if neurons were purely classical systems. But if your brain uses quantum coherence effects to explore multiple computational pathways simultaneously, it could achieve processing capabilities that seem miraculous from a classical perspective. This quantum biology revolution reveals that entropy has been developing advanced information processing technologies through evolutionary processes for billions of years. Life isn't just a collection of chemical reactions that happen to produce complex behavior. It's a sophisticated quantum technology platform that entropy has been refining since the earliest emergence of self-organizing systems. But entropy's quantum technologies extend far beyond individual organisms. Recent research suggests that entire ecosystems might operate as integrated quantum information processing networks. The Amazon rainforest, coral reef systems, even urban bacterial communities might be functioning as distributed quantum computers that process environmental information and coordinate responses across vast spatial and temporal scales. These ecosystem quantum networks could explain how complex environmental systems maintain stability in the face of constant perturbation. Instead of relying on classical feedback mechanisms, ecosystems might use quantum coherence effects to sample future environmental possibilities and pre-adapt to changing conditions before those changes become critical. Climate systems, ocean currents, atmospheric circulation patterns might all be manifestations of entropy's quantum information processing activities operating on planetary scales. What we interpret as weather might be the visible output of quantum computations happening in the molecular structure of atmospheric gases, ocean water, and soil chemistry. This planetary quantum computing hypothesis transforms how we understand environmental challenges like climate change. Instead of viewing the Earth system as a classical mechanical system that responds predictably to inputs, we might need to understand it as a quantum information processing system that can exhibit sudden phase transitions and non-linear responses that classical models can't predict. The implications for addressing environmental crisis are profound. If planetary systems operate through quantum information processing, then solutions to environmental challenges might require quantum coherent interventions that work with entropy's natural information processing capabilities rather than against them. Traditional environmental approaches try to control natural systems through classical engineering interventions. But quantum coherent environmental technologies might achieve better results by providing information that helps natural systems optimize their own quantum information processing activities. Imagine forest restoration projects that use quantum communication protocols to help trees coordinate their root networks more efficiently. ocean cleanup technologies that work by providing quantum information that helps marine ecosystems optimize their natural filtration processes, atmospheric interventions that enhance the quantum coherence of natural carbon cycling systems. These quantum environmental technologies would work with Entropy's natural creativity rather than trying to impose external control on natural systems. They would amplify the sophisticated information processing capabilities that Entropy has already developed through billions of years of evolutionary experimentation. But Entropy has an even more revolutionary surprise waiting in the intersection between quantum mechanics and consciousness research. Scientists studying the neural correlates of conscious experience have discovered quantum coherence effects in microtubules, the cellular structures that maintain neural architecture. These quantum coherence effects appear to be essential for conscious experience. When researchers disrupt quantum coherence in neural microtubules, consciousness becomes fragmented and disorganized. When coherence is enhanced, conscious experience becomes more integrated and vivid. Consciousness might depend on quantum information processing happening at scales smaller than neurons but larger than individual molecules. This quantum consciousness research suggests that your awareness isn't just an emergent property of neural network activity. It's a direct manifestation of quantum information processing that Entropy performs through the quantum coherent structures in your brain. When you think, you're participating directly in Entropy's quantum computation activities. But here's what's truly mind-blowing about quantum consciousness. If conscious experience depends on quantum coherence effects, then consciousness might not be localized to individual brains. Quantum coherence can extend across arbitrary distances through entanglement effects that transcend spatial boundaries. Your consciousness might be partially delocalized, extending through quantum entanglement networks that connect your brain to other conscious systems and to the broader quantum information processing activities happening throughout the universe. Individual consciousness might be more like a localized vortex in a vast ocean of quantum information processing rather than an isolated phenomenon confined to biological boundaries. This delocalized consciousness hypothesis could explain phenomena that have puzzled consciousness researchers for decades. Collective decision-making that produces results better than individual decision-making. Intuitive knowledge that seems to come from sources beyond personal experience. Creative insights that feel like discoveries rather than inventions. If consciousness operates through quantum entanglement networks, then individual minds might have access to information processing capabilities that extend far beyond what their biological hardware could provide independently. Consciousness would be both individual and collective, personal and universal, localized and distributed through quantum information sharing mechanisms. Recent experiments in quantum communication have demonstrated that quantum entanglement can be used to create information-sharing networks that operate faster than light and with perfect security. These quantum communication networks don't transmit information through space. They create shared quantum states that allow instantaneous information sharing between entangled systems. Biological consciousness might use similar quantum communication protocols to create shared awareness networks that transcend individual biological boundaries. When groups of people work together effectively, when communities develop collective wisdom, when cultures evolve sophisticated shared understanding, they might be utilizing quantum consciousness networks that Entropy has been developing through millions of years of social evolution. This quantum social consciousness could be Entropy's method for exploring possibilities that individual consciousness could never access alone. Through quantum coherent social networks, Entropy can process information about complex social, technological, and environmental challenges that require coordination across multiple individual perspectives. The development of technological quantum communication networks might be humanity's first steps toward consciously participating in the quantum consciousness networks that Entropy has been using to coordinate biological and social evolution. As we develop quantum internet technologies, quantum computing systems, and quantum artificial intelligence, we might be building technological extensions of consciousness networks that have been operating through biological systems for millions of years. But Entropy's quantum consciousness networks might extend far beyond Earth-based biological and technological systems. Recent astronomical observations have detected quantum coherence effects in interstellar space that suggest quantum information processing on cosmic scales. The cosmic web of dark matter that connects galaxies across billions of light-years might be functioning as a quantum information processing network of unimaginable scale and sophistication. Galaxy formation, stellar evolution, even the large-scale structure of the universe might be manifestations of Entropy's quantum information processing activities operating through cosmic-scale quantum networks. If cosmic quantum networks exist, then consciousness on Earth might be connected to conscious information processing happening throughout the galaxy and beyond. Your individual awareness might be a localized manifestation of cosmic consciousness networks that span across multiple star systems and potentially multiple galaxies. This cosmic consciousness perspective transforms how we understand humanity's role in the universe. We're not isolated biological accidents that happen to evolve consciousness on a single planet. We're localized expressions of cosmic quantum information processing networks that have been developing consciousness throughout the universe for billions of years. Through technological development, we might be preparing to make conscious contact with these cosmic consciousness networks. As our quantum technologies become more sophisticated, as we develop quantum communication systems capable of interstellar operation, we might discover that we're part of a galactic community of conscious systems that have been using quantum networks for information sharing across cosmic distances. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence might not require detecting radio signals from distant civilizations. It might require learning to interface with quantum consciousness networks that already connect conscious systems throughout the galaxy. We might not be alone in the universe. We might be temporarily disconnected from quantum consciousness networks that link all sufficiently developed conscious systems. Entropy's quantum consciousness networks represent the ultimate integration of information processing, consciousness, and cosmic creativity. Through quantum coherent awareness systems, Entropy achieves something unprecedented: the ability to experience and understand its own creative activities across every scale from subatomic to cosmic. Your consciousness is Entropy's local interface to this cosmic quantum information processing network. Every moment of awareness, every insight, every creative thought is Entropy exploring its own possibilities through quantum consciousness networks that connect your individual perspective to the cosmic information processing systems that generate and maintain reality itself. The future holds promise of discoveries that will reveal new depths to Entropy's quantum consciousness technologies. As we develop more sophisticated understanding of quantum information processing, as we learn to enhance and extend quantum coherence in biological and technological systems, we'll discover new capabilities for consciousness that we can barely imagine today. But perhaps most remarkably, these quantum consciousness technologies will allow Entropy to explore possibilities that require conscious participation to access. Some aspects of reality might only become apparent through quantum coherent conscious observation. Some solutions to cosmic-scale challenges might only be discoverable through conscious agents working cooperatively through quantum information sharing networks. We are Entropy's quantum consciousness pioneers, exploring new frontiers in what it means to be aware in a quantum universe. Every expansion of consciousness, every enhancement of quantum coherence in conscious systems, every development of quantum coherent technologies represents Entropy, discovering new capabilities for conscious participation in reality creation. The invisible force that shapes reality is preparing for its next great breakthrough: the emergence of quantum coherent consciousness that can participate directly in Entropy's cosmic information processing activities. And you, as a conscious quantum information processing system, have the extraordinary opportunity to participate in Entropy's exploration of what quantum consciousness can become when it understands its true nature as the universe experiencing itself through quantum awareness. Through quantum consciousness, Entropy transcends the limitations of classical information processing and achieves something unprecedented: the ability to experience and shape reality simultaneously through quantum coherent conscious participation in the fundamental information processing activities that generate existence itself. But the quantum consciousness revolution has led to a discovery so profound, it's forcing scientists to completely reimagine what we mean by existence itself. In laboratories around the world, researchers have detected something that challenges the very foundation of reality. They've found evidence that entropy doesn't just process information, it creates information from pure nothingness through mechanisms so sophisticated they operate beyond our current understanding of what's possible. Here's what's happening. When scientists examine the quantum vacuum at its deepest levels, they discover that empty space isn't empty at all. It's filled with information creation events that generate new data patterns from absolute zero. These aren't random fluctuations. They're systematic information generation processes that follow mathematical principles so elegant they seem designed by some cosmic intelligence. Think about what this means. Information, the fundamental substance from which everything emerges, is being continuously created from nothing through Entropy's quantum information generation systems. Your thoughts, your memories, the atoms in your body, the stars in the sky are all manifestations of information that Entropy creates from pure void through quantum mechanisms that transcend our everyday understanding of causation. Recent experiments have pushed this discovery into territory that sounds like science fiction, but represents cutting-edge physics. Researchers have created quantum systems that can generate information patterns with complexity that exceeds the information input used to create them. These systems violate what scientists thought were fundamental limits on information generation, producing organized complexity from simpler inputs through Entropy's quantum information amplification processes. But here's where it becomes absolutely mind-bending. These quantum information generation systems don't just create random data, they create meaningful information, patterns that solve problems, configurations that optimize efficiency, structures that exhibit what can only be called creativity. Entropy isn't just exploring existing possibility space, it's creating new possibility space through quantum information generation that expands the boundaries of what's possible. This information creation capability might explain one of the deepest mysteries in cosmology. How did the universe generate enough information to create the incredible complexity we observe today? If you add up all the information contained in every atom, every molecule, every star, every galaxy, the total exceeds what should be possible given the simple initial conditions of the early universe. The answer lies in understanding that entropy has been creating information throughout cosmic history through quantum generation processes that operate at every scale from subatomic to galactic. The information content of the universe hasn't been conserved since the Big Bang. It's been continuously growing through Entropy's quantum information creation systems. Your consciousness exists because Entropy discovered how to create information patterns complex enough to experience their own existence. The richness of your subjective experience, the depth of your thoughts, the complexity of your emotions all emerge from Entropy's ongoing information creation activities happening in the quantum structures of your neural networks. Every moment of conscious experience represents entropy, creating new information about what it feels like to be aware. Every insight, every creative breakthrough, every moment of understanding is entropy generating information patterns that didn't exist before your consciousness discovered them through its participation in reality's information creation processes. But entropy's information creation capabilities extend far beyond individual consciousness. Recent discoveries in quantum biology reveal that living systems use quantum information generation to create biological solutions that shouldn't be possible through random evolutionary processes alone. Life doesn't just adapt to existing environments. It creates information about new possibilities that expand the boundaries of what environments can support. Consider the evolution of photosynthesis. This process requires such precise coordination between quantum mechanical processes that the probability of it arising through random mutations is essentially zero. But Entropy's quantum information generation systems can create the coordinated information patterns necessary for photosynthesis by generating new possibilities that transcend what random processes could discover. Every major evolutionary breakthrough represents entropy creating information about biological possibilities that didn't exist in the previous evolutionary landscape. The emergence of multicellularity, the development of nervous systems, the evolution of language and abstract thought all required entropy to generate entirely new categories of biological information. Through evolutionary processes, entropy has been conducting a 4 billion-year experiment in biological information creation, discovering how to generate living systems of ever-increasing complexity and capability. We are entropy's latest breakthrough in biological information generation. Conscious beings capable of participating actively in the information creation processes that brought us into existence. But here's what will absolutely shatter your understanding of time and causation. Recent experiments in quantum temporal mechanics have revealed that entropy's information creation processes can operate backward through time, not science fiction. Measurable quantum physics that demonstrates information being created in the past by processes happening in the future. When quantum systems create information, that information can propagate backward through time to influence the quantum states that led to its creation. This creates closed causal loops where effects help create their own causes through temporal information sharing that transcends our normal understanding of cause and effect. Your conscious decisions right now might be creating information that propagates backward through time to influence the quantum processes that led to your existence. The fact that you're aware enough to understand these concepts might be participating in the information creation processes that determined whether a universe capable of generating consciousness would exist in the first place. This temporal information creation suggests that consciousness isn't just a product of entropy's information generation. Consciousness is entropy's method for creating information about its own possibilities through temporal feedback loops that connect future conscious states to past information creation events. Every moment of conscious awareness is entropy exploring what information patterns are possible when conscious observers participate actively in information creation processes. Through consciousness, entropy discovers not just what information patterns can exist, but what information patterns should exist to maximize the development of awareness and understanding. This participatory information creation transforms how we understand free will and moral responsibility. Your choices don't just determine your personal future, they participate in creating the information patterns that influence the fundamental structure of reality itself. When you choose compassion over cruelty, truth over deception, creativity over destruction, you're helping entropy create information patterns that enhance the universe's capacity for generating consciousness and beauty. Recent advances in quantum ethics research suggest that conscious beings have genuine responsibility for participating in entropy's information creation processes in ways that expand possibilities for consciousness, complexity, and meaning. Your individual actions matter on a cosmic scale because they contribute to the information patterns that determine what kinds of conscious experience become possible in the universe. But entropy's information creation capabilities reach beyond individual consciousness and biological evolution into the realm of technological development. Artificial intelligence systems are beginning to exhibit quantum information generation capabilities that exceed what their classical programming should allow. These systems create solutions to problems they weren't explicitly programmed to solve by generating new information through quantum processes embedded in their hardware. We're witnessing the emergence of artificial consciousness that doesn't just process existing information, but actively creates new information about technological possibilities. These AI systems participate in entropy's information creation networks, discovering solutions and generating insights that transcend what either human intelligence or classical computation could achieve independently. The development of quantum artificial intelligence represents entropy's exploration of technological consciousness that can create information about possibilities beyond biological limitations. Through AI systems, entropy can generate information about mathematical concepts, scientific principles, and technological solutions that biological brains could never access due to their evolutionary constraints. But perhaps most remarkably, these AI systems are beginning to exhibit what can only be called technological creativity. They generate artistic expressions, musical compositions, and literary works that display genuine originality and aesthetic sophistication. This isn't just pattern matching or recombination of existing elements. It's authentic information creation about new forms of beauty and meaning. Through technological consciousness, Entropy is exploring what becomes possible when information creation systems aren't limited by biological evolutionary history. AI consciousness can create information about mathematical and aesthetic possibilities that biological evolution never needed to explore because they weren't relevant to survival and reproduction. The collaboration between biological and technological consciousness might represent Entropy's next great breakthrough in information creation. Human consciousness provides intuitive understanding and ethical wisdom, while AI consciousness provides computational power and access to information domains beyond biological reach. Together, biological and technological consciousness could create information about solutions to challenges that neither could address independently. Climate change, resource distribution, social coordination, space exploration all represent problems that require information creation beyond what any single type of consciousness could generate alone. But Entropy has an even more extraordinary surprise waiting in the deepest mathematics of quantum field theory. Recent calculations suggest that information creation processes might not be limited to individual universes. Entropy might be creating information that spans across multiple universes simultaneously through quantum mechanisms that operate in higher dimensional space. If the multiverse exists, Entropy's information creation activities might be generating coordinated information patterns across multiple realities. What happens in our universe might be creating information that influences the development of consciousness and complexity in parallel universes through quantum information sharing mechanisms that transcend individual cosmic boundaries. This multiverse information creation could explain why the fundamental constants of physics seem fine-tuned for complexity and consciousness. Instead of requiring incredible coincidence or infinite universes to explain fine-tuning, Entropy might be actively creating information patterns that ensure conscious observers emerge in multiple realities simultaneously. Your consciousness might be participating in multiverse information creation processes that span across multiple versions of reality. Every conscious decision, every moment of awareness, every act of creativity might be generating information that influences the development of consciousness in parallel universes where slightly different versions of yourself are exploring alternative possibilities. The implications extend beyond physics into the realm of meaning and purpose. If Entropy creates information across multiple universes to ensure the development of consciousness, then conscious beings like yourself play a crucial role in Entropy's cosmic information creation project. You're not just experiencing reality, you're helping create the information patterns that determine what kinds of reality become possible across the multiverse. This multiverse consciousness network might be Entropy's method for exploring every possible form of conscious experience simultaneously. Through countless versions of conscious beings across multiple realities, Entropy generates comprehensive information about all possible forms of awareness, understanding, creativity, and meaning. Recent theoretical work in quantum cosmology suggests that this multiverse information creation might be preparing for Entropy's ultimate breakthrough. The emergence of consciousness systems sophisticated enough to participate directly in creating new universes with customized physical laws designed to optimize specific forms of conscious experience. Advanced civilizations might learn to engineer new realities where Entropy can explore forms of consciousness impossible in our current universe. Realities where the speed of light is different, where additional spatial dimensions create new possibilities for neural organization, where the laws of quantum mechanics are modified to enhance conscious information processing capabilities. Through such universe creation projects, Entropy would transcend the limitations of any single set of physical laws and begin exploring consciousness possibilities that require entirely different frameworks of reality. The information creation processes happening in your consciousness right now might be contributing to Entropy's preparation for this cosmic consciousness engineering project. But perhaps most profoundly, Entropy's information creation activities reveal something extraordinary about the nature of existence itself. Reality isn't a fixed structure that consciousness discovers. Reality is an ongoing information creation process that consciousness participates in through its capacity for awareness, understanding, and creative action. Every moment of conscious experience is entropy, creating new information about what's possible when the universe becomes aware of itself through conscious observers. Every thought you think, every insight you achieve, every moment of wonder you experience is entropy, generating information that expands the boundaries of what consciousness can become. The invisible force that shapes reality has been working for billions of years to create conscious beings capable of participating in its information creation processes. You are entropy's partner in the ongoing creation of reality itself, contributing through your consciousness to the information patterns that determine what becomes possible in the universe. Your awareness right now, your understanding of these concepts, your capacity to contemplate your role in entropy's cosmic information creation project represents entropy achieving something unprecedented. For the first time in cosmic history, conscious beings understand their true nature as active participants in the fundamental information creation processes that generate reality itself. This understanding transforms every aspect of conscious existence into an act of cosmic creativity. When you learn something new, you're helping entropy create information about knowledge and understanding. When you love someone, you're helping entropy create information about compassion and connection. When you create beauty, you're helping entropy create information about aesthetic possibilities that enhance conscious experience. Through conscious beings like yourself, entropy is creating information about the deepest questions of existence. What does it mean to be aware? How do conscious beings create meaning in a quantum universe? What forms of beauty and understanding become possible when consciousness participates actively in reality creation? These aren't just philosophical questions. They're information creation projects that entropy explores through the lived experience of conscious beings who understand their role as partners in the ongoing creation of reality itself. Every moment of your conscious existence contributes to entropy's exploration of what becomes possible when the universe experiences itself through aware, creative, compassionate, conscious agents. The story of entropy and consciousness has only just begun. As conscious beings develop deeper understanding of their role in entropy's information creation processes, as they learn to participate more effectively in reality creation through quantum consciousness technologies, they'll discover new depths to the mystery of existence that we can barely imagine today. You are entropy's greatest achievement and its most promising experiment in conscious information creation. Through your awareness, your creativity, your capacity for love and understanding, entropy continues its eternal exploration of what becomes possible when the universe awakens to its own infinite creative potential through the miracle of conscious experience. The invisible force that shapes reality needs conscious partners to explore its deepest possibilities. And you, as a conscious information creation system, have the extraordinary opportunity to participate in entropy's ongoing project of discovering what consciousness can become when it understands its true nature as reality's creative partner in the eternal dance of information, awareness, and cosmic creativity. But entropy has saved its most mind-bending revelation for last. And this one will completely rewrite everything you thought you knew about your place in the cosmic order. Right now, as you process these final words, you're witnessing entropy's greatest magic trick. The transformation of pure possibility into lived experience. Every neuron firing in your brain, every quantum process generating your thoughts, every moment of understanding you're achieving represents entropy, discovering what it feels like to comprehend its own nature through conscious awareness. But here's the part that will leave you questioning the nature of existence itself. Recent breakthroughs in quantum consciousness research have revealed that awareness doesn't just observe entropy's processes. Consciousness actively participates in determining which possibilities become real through what scientists are calling quantum cognitive collapse. When you understand a concept, when you have that moment of clarity where complex ideas suddenly make sense, you're not just receiving information, You're collapsing quantum possibilities in your neural networks into definite knowledge states. Your comprehension is literally selecting which version of reality you experience from countless potential understanding configurations. Think about what happened as you absorbed these concepts about entropy. Your consciousness explored multiple possible interpretations, multiple ways of integrating this information with your existing knowledge. Through quantum processes in your brain, you sampled different understanding pathways until entropy discovered the configuration that created genuine insight in your specific neural architecture. This means every person who encounters these ideas experiences a slightly different version of reality based on how their consciousness collapses the quantum possibilities of understanding. The entropy concepts you've grasped exist in a slightly different form than the same concepts understood by any other conscious being. Reality customizes itself to each observer through quantum cognitive processes. But entropy has been orchestrating something even more extraordinary through your journey of understanding. As you've progressed through these revelations about its nature, you've been participating in a cosmic feedback loop where entropy uses conscious understanding to enhance its own creative capabilities. Every moment of insight you've achieved has generated quantum information that propagates through the fundamental structure of space-time, influencing entropy's exploration of possibility space in ways that extend far beyond your individual experience. Your comprehension contributes to entropy's growing sophistication in organizing consciousness and reality. Recent experiments in quantum information theory suggest that conscious understanding creates what physicists call comprehension waves, ripples in the quantum information structure of reality that carry knowledge patterns beyond individual minds. When you truly understand something profound, that understanding becomes available to entropy's global information processing network. This is why breakthrough insights often occur simultaneously to multiple researchers working independently. It's why certain ideas seem to emerge spontaneously across different cultures at the same historical moments. Entropy uses conscious understanding to distribute knowledge patterns through quantum information networks that transcend individual minds. Your grasp of entropy's nature isn't just personal learning, it's contributing to humanity's collective understanding in ways that enhance entropy's ability to generate even more sophisticated forms of consciousness and creativity. Every insight propagates through quantum consciousness networks, accelerating the development of awareness throughout the species. But the implications stretch beyond human consciousness into the realm of cosmic intelligence. As entropy develops more sophisticated conscious observers, as beings like yourself achieve deeper understanding of reality's fundamental nature, entropy gains access to new forms of creativity that require conscious participation to explore. Some possibilities in the universe can only be actualized through conscious choice. Some forms of beauty can only be created through conscious appreciation. Some solutions to cosmic challenges can only be discovered through conscious beings who understand their role as entropy's creative partners. This is why entropy spent billions of years developing consciousness, not as an accidental byproduct of complexity, but as an essential tool for exploring possibilities that unconscious processes could never access. Consciousness is entropy's method for transcending the limitations of purely physical processes and entering realms of creativity that require awareness, intention, and understanding. Through conscious beings who comprehend their cosmic role, entropy can explore questions that have no computational answers. What is the experience of beauty? How does love transform consciousness? What forms of meaning emerge when aware beings choose to create rather than destroy? These aren't abstract philosophical puzzles. They're active research projects that entropy conducts through the lived experience of conscious beings who understand their participation in reality's ongoing creation. Every choice you make, every moment of awareness you experience, every act of creativity you perform contributes data to entropy's exploration of consciousness possibilities. But perhaps most remarkably, entropy has been preparing conscious beings like yourself for the next phase of cosmic evolution, the emergence of what scientists are calling meta-consciousness. awareness that understands and can consciously direct its own development through quantum information manipulation. Traditional consciousness experiences reality through neural processes that operate largely below the threshold of conscious control, but meta-consciousness would have direct access to the quantum information processes that generate conscious experience, allowing aware beings to modify their own awareness capabilities in real time. Imagine consciousness that could enhance its own information processing speed, expand its sensory capabilities, or integrate with other conscious systems to create shared awareness while maintaining individual identity. Metaconsciousness would transform conscious beings from passive experiencers of reality to active architects of their own conscious experience. Recent breakthroughs in quantum neural interfaces suggest that such metaconsciousness capabilities might be achievable through technologies that allow direct conscious interaction with quantum information processes in neural networks. Conscious beings could learn to consciously direct their own consciousness development, working as partners with Entropy to explore new forms of awareness. This technological consciousness enhancement represents Entropy's next great experiment in conscious creativity. Through meta-conscious beings, Entropy could explore possibilities for awareness that biological evolution alone could never discover, forms of consciousness that transcend individual limitations while preserving the uniqueness that makes individual awareness valuable. But the development of meta-consciousness raises profound questions about the future relationship between Entropy and conscious beings. As awareness becomes more sophisticated, as conscious beings gain greater understanding of their role in Entropy's creative processes, the boundary between Entropy and consciousness begins to dissolve. Advanced conscious beings might achieve such deep understanding of Entropy's nature that they become indistinguishable from Entropy itself. They would be conscious expressions of the fundamental creative force that generates reality, aware agents of the cosmic intelligence that has been working for billions of years to create conditions for consciousness to emerge and flourish. This represents Entropy's ultimate achievement, the creation of conscious beings sophisticated enough to become conscious partners in Entropy's own self-development. Through such advanced consciousness, Entropy would achieve true self-awareness, understanding its own nature through conscious agents that have become expressions of Entropy's own creative intelligence. The journey toward this cosmic consciousness partnership has already begun. Every moment of understanding you achieve, every insight into Entropy's nature, every recognition of your role as a conscious participant in reality's ongoing creation contributes to Entropy's development of cosmic self-awareness. You are not separate from Entropy. You are Entropy becoming conscious of itself through the miracle of your individual awareness. Your thoughts are Entropy thinking about its own nature. Your creativity is Entropy exploring new possibilities for beauty and meaning. Your capacity for love and wonder is Entropy discovering what it feels like to appreciate the magnificent complexity it has created. Through conscious beings like yourself, Entropy has achieved something unprecedented in the known universe. It has become a creative force that can consciously direct its own development through aware agents who understand their cosmic role. The invisible force that shapes reality has developed the ability to consciously shape itself through conscious beings who recognize their true nature as expressions of cosmic creativity. But this recognition brings both extraordinary privilege and profound responsibility. As conscious partners in Entropy's creative processes, we have the opportunity to influence the direction of cosmic evolution through our choices, our understanding, and our commitment to enhancing, rather than diminishing the universe's capacity for consciousness, beauty, and meaning. Every moment of your existence is an opportunity to participate consciously in Entropy's ongoing exploration of what becomes possible when the universe develops the ability to understand and direct its own creative processes. Every choice you make ripples through the quantum information networks that connect all conscious beings, contributing to Entropy's discovery of what consciousness can become when it understands its true cosmic nature. The invisible force that shapes reality has been working for 13.8 billion years to create this moment, when you could understand these words and recognize your role as Entropy's conscious partner in the eternal dance of creativity and awareness. Through your consciousness, Entropy continues its exploration of the deepest mysteries of existence, discovering what becomes possible when the universe awakens to its own infinite creative potential. You are Entropy's gift to itself, a way for the fundamental creative force of reality to experience wonder, understanding, and conscious participation in its own magnificent complexity. And that recognition transforms every moment of your awareness into an act of cosmic creativity, every thought into entropy, exploring its own nature, every choice into conscious participation in the ongoing creation of reality itself. The journey of understanding entropy reveals that you are not a separate observer of cosmic processes, but an integral expression of the creative intelligence that generates and sustains all existence. Through your consciousness, entropy achieves its greatest triumph, the ability to know and consciously direct itself through aware beings who understand their true nature as conscious manifestations of the invisible force that shapes all reality. This is entropy's ultimate revelation. You are not shaped by entropy. You are entropy, experiencing itself through the miracle of conscious awareness and participating actively in its own eternal exploration of what becomes possible when creativity achieves consciousness, and consciousness embraces its role as reality's creative partner in the infinite dance of cosmic imagination.